Every 10 years, the universe gives us a Fantastic Four movie.
The Fantastic Four suck, right? They suck, full stop.
And this year, they finally gave us one that people seem to really enjoy. So today I'm going to stop and rank all 5 Fantastic Four movies from the worst to the best. Hi, my name is Sean, and I love to talk about movies and TV way too much. With that in mind, go ahead and join me down below in the comments section. Share your ranking of all 5 Fantastic Four movies, or at least as many as you have seen. My list is not the right list, it's just my list, and I would love to see yours. And let's get started. In last, Roger Corman's Fantastic Four. Now, this is one where you kind of feel bad for the actors and the director and the people that actually made the film, because they did the best they could with the hand that they were dealt. But the hand that they were dealt was one of the most cynical hands that has ever been dealt in the history of Hollywood, where the producer of the film wanted to hold the rights to the Fantastic Four, but in order to hold on to the rights, he had to get a movie into production by a specific deadline. So he hired Roger Corman to make the movie as cheap as possible with no intentions of releasing the film. But he didn't tell that to the director, the actors, or the public.
You serious?
When I was growing up, my sister and I would ride our bikes up to the comic book shop every weekend, and I'd read Wizard magazine. And I remember seeing pictures from this movie in Wizard magazine, and then the movie never came out. And for years I was like, what on earth happened? Like, I know I have seen pictures from a Fantastic Four movie, but I have never seen a Fantastic Four movie. And then the story of what happened came out several years later, and the film got leaked and you could download it off LimeWire back in the day. So finally I saw it in like 2004 or something like that. And it is amateurish on every single level. The score, I guess, is pretty good, but the costumes by today's standards are just cheap spandex cosplay, and the special effects are embarrassing at best, where even at the time, these would be very cheap, schlocky effects. And then compared to today with what anybody can do at home, it's tough to sit through. I mean, there's all these shots with Mr. Fantastic where essentially they like put like a glove on a stick and went like this. I mean, it's that level of corny and cheesy, every goofy way to imply that his arms are really long and reaching around something. There's bizarre plot lines where there's this whole extended thing about sewer people kidnapping a woman and having a wedding to be his queen. All of this to be like a very minor way to connect 2 plot points in the film. The big finale involves Johnny Storm chasing a laser. Lasers move at the speed of light, and it had like a 30-second head start. So that's not how that works. There's even a sequence in the movie where the Thing has to fight some people, and he's like, it's clobbering time. And then the screen just spins, and it cuts to everybody beat up.
Are you kidding me?
This it's cheap, corny on every single level. It's very difficult to watch. It's well-intentioned. It is trying to be like a fairly direct adaptation of everything. But at the end of the day, it's a fantastic con job. Someone trying to fool people so he can hold on to the rights. That's what this movie is. 4th, Fan Four Stick. This is another oddity of a film with a bizarre backstory. I was a year late watching the movie, and so I'd heard how dreadful it was. And even the director himself threw the movie under the bus before the movie came out. So the first time I watched the film, I was actually surprised at how good the first half of the film is. And then it got to the back half and I was like, oh, there it is. That's the problem with this film. It's a very strange experience watching it because the first half is definitely dry. It's a little bit too serious. It's tonally wrong for a Fantastic Four movie, but it's competently made. It's very clear what they were going for. You're following a character arc. There's clear objectives. It's focused, like you know what's going on. And then you get to the middle point where they get their powers, and the movie just goes off the rails, and it feels like you're watching an incomplete film that has been duct taped together with reshoots and competing visions. And we kind of by now know that's exactly what did happen, where the director was at odds with the original writer. The writer wanted it to be comic booky and the director wanted it to be like serious. He wanted to do his Cronenberg body horror film. And so he took over the project, took it in a more serious direction. Fox got cold feet shortly before they were going to film and cut his budget by tens of millions of dollars. So he had to like trim out some action sequences right before they shot. While they were shooting, maybe the director was having a meltdown, according to certain reports. And then when they started trying to piece it together in the editing room, Fox got really, really worried. So they brought people in to reshoot the movie and redo it. There's all this footage of behind the scenes shots, the things that are nowhere to be seen in the movie. There's not clear where they would fit in. There's all these shots of the Thing going on missions in the trailers, and it's just cut out and replaced with bad wigs and bad CGI. I mean, it feels like the movie doesn't know what it's doing during the middle act, where like Reed disappears for a year and then immediately comes back, and then suddenly we're in the third act and Doom shows back up and we're in the final boss fight. It is a strange experience because they basically never completed the movie. They never shot the whole thing they wanted to do, or they cut so much of it out where you're like, there's obviously huge holes here that we're seeing straight through. And so it's like half of a good but tonally wrong Fantastic Four movie, and then the other half is just a jumbled mess of nonsense that it's like you start to realize the difference between competent storytelling and incompetent storytelling in the exact same movie. In third, Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver Surfer. And these Tim Story Fantastic Four films are harmless enough. Like, they're just lighthearted fun from an era before Marvel had really cracked the code on how to consistently put out movies that could be serious and lighthearted at the exact same time. And so these movies feel kind of lightweight, underdeveloped, but in an inoffensive kind of way.
Been having a strange reaction to this picture. I liked it while I was watching it, and as soon as it was over, it didn't mean anything to me.
Specifically when it comes to Rise of the Silver Surfer, the problem here is that the movie is only 92 minutes long with credits, and it has way too many plot lines. So you've got a space anomaly, Rise of the Silver Surfer, a wedding, the team's different responses to their fame, the team breaking up, the team swapping powers, Galactus wanting to eat the Earth, the return of Doctor Doom, the military teaming up with Doctor Doom. Like there's all of these different moving parts in a movie that doesn't have a long runtime. This is enough plot lines for a trilogy of Fantastic Four movies. And this is a very short Fantastic Four movie, so none of it really gets developed. We're just flying through plot points to the next action sequence, to the next joke, and then moving right on to the next thing. And then there's the big joke about this film. They took one of the Marvel villains with the most iconic looks, this, and turned him into this. They made Galactus into a gigantic cloud. Like, pure insanity. Like, crazy levels of behavior here. And I totally understand it's difficult to figure out how to visualize a gigantic man coming to attack the Earth and eating it. Fair enough. But if you can't pull off gigantic man in space, don't do Galactus. And so, you know, this movie, it's totally harmless. At the same time, it is a fantastic disappointment as a Fantastic Four movie. Our runner-up, Fantastic Four 2005. And like I said about Rise of the Silver Surfer, this is harmless Marvel stuff from a less sophisticated era. This movie has always kind of felt to me like a pilot for a TV show, with the scope and size of the action, even kind of the way things are framed and shot. It starts off with like some people walking up to a building, which isn't super cinematic. That feels like how you start a TV show, not how you start a big cosmic Marvel movie, but it's not doing anything that like mashes on my toes or anything like that. It's just lightweight. And, you know, generally speaking, it's a fairly straightforward adaptation of the Fantastic Four. And that's kind of why I say it's harmless. Like, it might not be done all that great, might be a little corny and dated, but at least they're trying to be faithful. I think Michael Chiklis is great as the Thing, and just like, yes, that guy can embody that character. Even Chris Evans plays the cocky jerk so well that when he was cast as Captain or Steve Rogers a few years later, I was like, Johnny Storm is Captain America. What are they going to do to Captain America? Turns out he's even better at playing the virtuous All-American than the hot-headed All-American. But, you know, he can play the obnoxious jock really well. I think Jessica Alba was always kind of a bit of a strange choice to me. And I think the guy that did Reed Richards was fine. But that's most of this movie. It's fine. It's good enough. The bar for these movies prior to First Steps was pretty low for that reason. And part of the problem here is that there's not a ton of action. There's like this one action sequence in the middle of it, but it's like about a car crash and then the big finale and a lot of the Fantastic Four in a lab trying to figure out how to use their powers. And because of that, there's very little tension and conflict that, you know, gives that oomph and momentum to your story. Doctor Doom is over here doing his own thing, having his own villain origin story while they're figuring out their powers, and the two stories don't merge together until the last 20 minutes. And so just kind of misses a little piece because of that. But like I said, if this was the pilot for a Fantastic Four TV show back in the day, we'd probably be like, oh yeah, that was pretty good. It was like a nice, faithful Fantastic Four. But at a point in time where you're starting to get Spider-Man 2, X-Men, we're just right before the MCU kicked off, and we're the same year that we got Batman Begins. By comparison to what the genre was turning into, it's just always been lightweight compared to all of that. But easily and safely coming in first, The Fantastic Four: First Steps. This movie was first announced 6 years ago. And after years of speculation and theories and swapping out directors, the film came out. And boy, am I glad they took their time on this one. And they finally got it right and made a Fantastic Four movie that just has something fresh and new to offer that feels faithful to the characters. And as an MCU film, because they set it on its own earth, it's able to do all this fantastic world building where we're in this alternative 1960s that is both retro, as also very sci-fi and futuristic, has a Jetsons sort of vibe to it. But everything about it is interesting to look at. How the technology works, how they advertise things. And the movie's designed in a way where you really get a sense of the world all around them. And it created a film where I just wanted to explore more. It felt like wherever you would go, you'd find something new that was interesting and another corner that would lead to a side quest that you'd want to go on. The team themselves, I thought, had really great chemistry with one another, with this family dynamic. And people ask, like, who's your favorite of the Fantastic Four? I really couldn't pick because each of them, I loved the way they interacted with the other people. So you can't just pick one out in isolation because they only work in the group itself. And the plot here is very reminiscent of Rise of the Silver Surfer, but just a much bigger, more cosmic version of it that also is able to have Galactus as a gigantic man and not a cloud, which makes quite a bit of a difference when trying to execute things. So Galactus is intimidating. Silver Surfer is both villainous, but also has this flavor of sympathy in there. And it's just a refreshing new comic book movie that doesn't feel like any other comic book movie that we've gotten before, despite having a plot that quite literally was done before. So for me, after 30 years, they finally got it right and delivered something that was truly fantastic. So it comes in at number 1.
The Fantastic Four suck, right? They suck, full stop.
If you enjoyed this video, I did a ranking of all 53 MCU movies and TV shows. You can check that out somewhere around here. If you like Marvel, there's plenty of Marvel on this channel. Thank you so much for watching. Keep talking movies and TV too much. Bye-bye.